Oh, all right. I am doing this live on my personal page because the Facebook group pages don't work anymore in terms of interviewing. At least they don't work today. I'm sure those developers at Facebook have their hands full with people like me. So I'm inviting in my interviewee right now. Hopefully she sees it. Now let's go. Hope. Hey, there you are. Hey Shannon, what's happening? I'm having technical difficulties today, not as much fun as I would like. I could jam to this hip-hop music that I'm playing right now while I'm trying to figure it out. Yes, I got it. I'm excited. Oh! Hey Melissa, I am adding you in. Let's do it. Hey Shannon, what's happening? Grateful to have you on. Hopefully you stay on. I'm doing an interview right now with a fitness pro that is definitely sure to inspire my viewers.
Did this just work?
Yes. Do you know you're sideways though?
Oh yeah, okay, here I am.
Oh, you're in your studio. That's so cool.
I had to use my iPad because it was just not working on my phone.
Well, for whatever reason, today you cannot invite somebody in a group.
Just today?
Well, Facebook is quirks. I mean, they probably have it, some developer has it turned off at the moment, and that's just how it is. So then I was able to do it on my personal page, so we're going on my personal page. So we'll get some random people in here, and we'll get some people that will be able to bless them in certain ways, and I think it'll be good.
Awesome. Hold on one second.
So this...
Okay, I'm back.
So I am doing a live interview with a very special person. This is usually part of my Fit Pro group, but for whatever reason, Facebook's not letting me go live in there and bring her in. So the idea of the interviews I'm doing and the outreach that I have in the community that I'm building is really to boost the impact of fitness professionals, increase their outreach, help them make more money and more impact out in the world. So it's been really good. The interviews that I've been doing have been specific, great tools to help people bring their outreach and their success forward. So today I have an amazing woman. I have a nice long list of accolades to read off, but first, she started as a group fitness instructor and a personal trainer 19 years ago. My goodness. Started at Rutgers with a nutrition degree, a bachelor's of science. Then I think she moved on to get a master's degree up in Rhode Island. She since then has managed 4 different fitness programs at some major places, such as Millennium Partners. She was a senior director at New York Sports Club. And back in 2005, I think you worked at this place called the Stephen Institute. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yes.
So the managing fitness programs is definitely part of the corporate world. I mean, you were probably working in an office doing this and that. And she left the corporate world in 2014, which fortunately setting the interview with her sitting in the studio that she started in 2014 out in Union City, New Jersey, Clarity Fitness, I believe.
Yeah.
And she's been doing that ever since. She also is an independent distributor at Roden and Fields. And, you know, I think we met as she was my director at New York Sports Club. And I do remember one really interesting story about her is that I remember her starting a program there. I don't know if that's how we met or if it was just, you know, the significant part of the beginning of our relationship. But she started a program that I thought was absolutely genius, and I knew it was going to fail. She was trying to create a system in the New York Sports Club world that would actually make more money. It was like almost like before boutique fitness started blowing up, she was like stepping in that realm and trying to introduce it to, it was like explaining the internet to ants at the time. And now they're trying to do it on their own. But I remember her doing it. I'm thinking this is such a great idea. And there was so many barriers. It just made it not usable. And you know what I'm talking about, right? The what was it called? The UXF cycling program.
It was,
where
yep.
people actually had to pay extra money to just get an exclusive entry into the class, Wasn't a lot of money. It was pennies on the dollar, but it was a great system, and it just didn't work. And it wasn't because it wasn't poorly designed. If anything, it was way ahead of its time. So that is a really cool story of how we started working together back when she was doing that. And I don't want to leave out that she's a wife and a mom or a stepmom. As a matter of fact, when she got married, she married into a name that's very similar to my name. My grandfather's name was Stewart.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
And Billy,
So
to correct you, I'm gonna date our relationship a little bit.
no.
I met you in 2004 when you walked into my office at the New York Sports Club at 73rd Street. You were there to teach a class, and you walked in and said, in true, "Hey, I'm Billy." And I was like, who is this guy? And I was the new fitness manager there. That was my first job out of grad school in 2004. So that's actually when we first met. It was years later when we worked a lot closer on some of that programming. Yes.
Well, I'm glad that I was that person that one day that you remember.
Yeah.
I tried to make myself known. Sometimes that, when you don't have the skill set necessary, you have to make up for it in other areas. And in 2004, I was definitely that person. Well, super, super cool. So I have a couple good questions to ask you, and hopefully I can pull out some nuggets to share with the people that are out there that I'm trying to help influence maybe some decisions they're going to make going forward in their future.
Great.
So, like I said, this is on my personal page. So whoever pops in or whoever's watching, if this is just not your world, I encourage you to stay on and learn from this wonderful person, or hop off, check it out later, whatever it happens to be. But I'll definitely paste it over to Fit Life Pro. So let me see here. What do I got here? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Did I miss anything?
I think you covered the resume aspect. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm currently sitting in my studio, which is a lot of the reason why we came on this call today. So, I'm sure I'll give a little backstory of how this started. And, I'm here 7 days a week, not all day, but part of the day. And for those reasons and lots more, I started other avenues of building an income. And so I'm sure we'll get to that in a little while.
Awesome. Listen, if I had my own studio, I would probably be in it all day, every day. I think of Gary Vaynerchuk whenever I don't want to work, saying, "I outworked you." And I'm thinking, no, I'm going to outwork everybody if I have to, especially when you're doing it for yourself. I think that's just huge. I think it's amazing. And I really admire people that take that step in that direction. Let me ask you, what accomplishments in fitness? All right, now you have a long history of some really good accomplishments in fitness. But what of those accomplishments have affected your outreach today? The things you're doing now?
I think, I spent a really long time kind of climbing that corporate ladder. And there was a time in my life where that was important to me. I'm 39 now, and so I've been in the industry for about 20 years, almost 20 years now. And I think anyone in their profession, any young professional goes through that process of wanting to excel in their field and climb the corporate ladder. And most importantly, they go through a time where they care about what people think. And so I went through the process of, my niche was group exercise. That's how I got started. I started in college running programs and group programs. I was asked, will you get certified? I started teaching, and I quickly got very, sucked into fitness quickly. I loved it. And at the time, I was getting my bachelor's in nutrition. So when I went the route for exercise science and exercise physiology, it was that was, in my bones. I loved what I was doing. I loved teaching, and I loved sweating, and I loved making people feel good. And so as I started out of grad school and started climbing that corporate ladder, it was great. It was amazing. I was running group fitness programs. I was starting new programs. I was teaching instructors how to be better at their craft. I loved it. And as years went on, I started to realize that, as life goes on, you realize what's important and what is, in the grand scheme of things, not as important. And what became less and less important is what people actually thought of me or my name in the fitness industry. I was still passionate about helping people and making sure that I was involved in fitness because I loved teaching and I loved more the interaction with people. And I think when you're behind a desk for so many years and you realize that you miss being in front of people and not, you know, not just your employees, but the members in the clubs. And that's what started to become absent from my life. And so I no longer really cared what people thought of me in the, if you're familiar at all with the New York City fitness scene, it's always this like crazy climb of, you know, who's gonna see me? I look like this, I'm gonna do this. And that started really not to matter to me anymore. And I remember being in a meeting at the company that I was at the time, right before I left corporate fitness, and the chief operating officer was sitting across from me, and we were talking kind of just about future and what I really wanted, and something clicked. He said to me, you know, really in this industry, there are two routes. You can either continue and hope that you get a part in a role in a company, in a flourishing company, because you never know what's going to happen in a fitness company, or you go to work for yourself. But the problem is most people can't go to work for themselves because they don't have what it takes and they don't have the money to get started. And I went back to my office, and it took me probably 30 days to say to myself, well, first of all, I can do that. Like, you know, let's just put that aside. And second, I have no idea what it costs, but I had spent so many years working in corporate fitness and working my way to a financially stable place that I thought, well, why can't I? What does it cost? And I went through that, and I said, you know what? He's right. What does the future hold for me sitting in this role, in this position, knowing that I'm at the top, I'm sitting in an office, I'm miserable every day. I wake up at 5 in the morning, and sometimes I have to be on a train, and I'm traveling all across the eastern United States, and I show up and I walk into clubs and I have meaningless meetings with people, and I'm being told to do things this way, and I say, why don't we do it this way? And they say, no, do it our way. And I say it's going to fail, and I'll give you all the reasons why it's going to fail if you do it this way. Well, do it anyway. And then it failed, and it's like, Melissa, why did it fail? And enough was enough. I wasn't happy. I wanted to live my life, and I wanted to know every day that whatever I was going to grow was good for me and my family and my husband, and it would be something that we could grow together. And so I left, and 6 months later, I opened a fitness studio.
Opened a fitness studio.
I opened
6 months later.
Studio.
And looking good.
Thanks.
So if someone admired you, and I'm sure there's people who do that, myself included, and they wanted to follow in your footsteps, what kind of advice would you give them?
I'd probably tell them to think long and hard about what it's going to take from you, because I think a lot of people get into entrepreneur businesses, and they have ideas about what it's going to be, and those ideas at first, before they come reality, they're actually dreams. And so you think, well, I'm just going to do it this way, and I'm going to have a few hours a day where I have classes, and I'm going to have so much more free time, and this is the kind of money that I'm going to make. And when you step into, listen, I mean, many of us, I'm sure, watching this video went to college, went to grad school, maybe went to medical school, law school. There's no course for here's how to start a business and all of the things that it entails. And I'm talking like the intricate things that, you know, coming from a science background, nobody told me what PCI compliancy is. Nobody told me what, how to manage my accounting and what it takes to set up payroll for my employees, and silly little things, security and all of that stuff. You go into it blind and you learn along the way. And so patience would be my biggest offering of advice. Is you're not going to get it right first time. Everything you do, step by step by step, you're going to make a mistake, you're going to fix it. You might make a mistake and realize you need to fix it years later, but you'll fix it along the way. So make the mistakes, keep moving, and never give up, because that's why so many small businesses, I believe, fail, or at least people try, they give it a little time, and then they realize, you know what, this is too much work. I think I'll go back to a more, I don't know if you'd call it stable or regular situation. And that wasn't an option for me. I wasn't about to do that. So I would say patience and allow yourself the ability to fail as many times as you need to, because you're not perfect.
Is that the first fitness studio you've done?
Yes, the first one that I've owned, yes.
And it's doing well?
Yeah, I've had it for 3.5 years now. In October, it will be 4 years. Um, as in any small business, your first year is generally a big fat loss because you put, for me, I put so much of my life savings into it. And there are nights where you'd sit, and my husband and I would sit on the floor and be like, where's our clients? They're not here. And I'd be in tears, and this is terrible. But you learn what to do and how to do it. You learn how to properly market yourself. You learn the community and how to build community. And so I can say now that, we've got waitlisted classes every day now, and it didn't happen overnight. I remember the first time I had a waitlisted class was probably over a year into opening the studio. So you figure out what people want, the times that they want it, and you make those little tweaks along the way. You fail. That's what you do. You try and you fail.
Well, one of my mentors says 9 out of 10 businesses fail, but then another one of my mentors says you never fail unless you quit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the second one there definitely fits with what you're doing. You're just not going to quit, and eventually you're going to get through. So thinking of mentors, who are a couple mentors of yours?
My first mentor is my father. My father is an entrepreneur, and he has nothing, it's nothing related to fitness. He is a builder. He makes custom furniture for, like kitchens and he started his business in the 70s. So you're talking like all the way from like Formica countertops all the way up to the granite countertops, and along the way. And so he started his business in his father's basement, and it was just him and his tools. And he grew his business, and he actually just retired last year. He sold his business to the contractor that he had worked with for the past 40 years. And he actually works for the contractor now because he couldn't sit still. He could not work. But my father's one of those people. I'm not really sure I've ever met or known or will ever know anyone like him. He no matter what the problem is, he always told me, a problem can always be fixed. You just have to figure out how. And I go through this daily in my daily life. His voice pops into my head. Figure out figure out the root of the problem, and figure out a way to fix it. And I use that daily, and I tell people, all the time that come to me with problems, there's always a way to fix the problem. So yeah, my father is probably my biggest mentor, and I think he's also a mentor now to my husband too. Like, we don't purchase anything at Home Depot without giving him a call first. And everything we do is let's ask your father first. So I'd say he's my biggest mentor.
It's a good lesson learned. Definitely a good lesson learned. Who's a mentor that you can share with your community?
Share with my community, I'd say
we'll reach out to your dad if we have to.
I have one mentor, and I think she knows this along the way. She's the kind of woman who walks into a room and you're going to pay attention to what she says. She's poised. She understands the fitness industry. She's worked her way up through the ranks over many years, and her name is Tanya Jacobs. So I worked for Tanya for a few years when I was back at Millennium Partners, which is now owned by Equinox. But when I was back at Reebok Sports Club and the Sports Club LA, she was my manager there. I remember the day that she resigned and left to go be the COO of another company, and I remember the tears, not just from me, but sitting in a room when she told us she's going to be leaving. Not only did she start to cry, the entire room, men included, began to just cry. And she's the kind of person that when I had a big life change in terms of my corporate career, I'd say, I'd call her, I'd text her, I'd say, can we talk? Because I always just wanted, not necessarily her approval. Whenever I needed the advice of a sound mind, I knew who to call. I just saw her last week at a conference, and it was, the same thing. Like, wow, she still has that effect on me. I see her, and I think she's just an amazing person, and she knows exactly what to say, and her poise and her confidence and her success kind of just shine.
It's a good one. I've only met her I worked for her, met her through the, small interactions, and I can completely agree with you. I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
She did a great job where she was at. It was a blessing to have met her. I didn't get to work with her on your level, but I totally get it. What would you say to someone who's struggling in becoming an entrepreneur? A lot of people are in the fitness world. They are doing well. They're happy with I don't want to say they're happy with that, but they are satisfied with their level of income, their level of success, the level of business that they have, but they want to take a step forward and they're struggling taking that step. What kind of advice can you offer? I mean, you've done that.
Yeah, well, I guess, it depends on what step forward you're looking to take. Um, you know, from a fitness perspective, I mean, we have such an interesting fitness is so interesting because we all get into fitness generally because we love it. It's a passion. We love to exercise. We like to make people feel good. I think most people in fitness can agree that you get a rush out of people enjoying their time with you. They're saying people don't always remember you, but they remember how you made them feel. And I think all of us have that passion. But what I would say about fitness in general is fitness has a lifespan, whether you're in a corporate role or you're teaching and training, because there's only so many years that we can physically do the work, wake up at 5 a.m., get home at 10 p.m., have a life, be able to do the things we want to do. It's never a possible situation. And I know there's some people that might be watching this that think, what are you talking about? I love my job. Yeah. There was a time where I could tell you, like, I was the happiest person on earth in the role that I was in. And we all go through that. But, as I got older, I started to realize, what happens if I get hurt? What happens? I mean, Billy, you can attest to this, what happens if I get hurt? What happens if I just simply trip over something while walking and sprain my ankle and I'm out of work for a week? We only get paid when we teach classes. We have to get there. And so I think that, that step forward that's kind of a loaded question. It really just depends the avenue that you're trying to take, whether you're someone that is in the personal training and teaching role that maybe wants to go into a corporate role, or is someone who wants to branch off into something new. And the best advice that I can give is you've got to figure that out. You have to figure out what is going to make you happy rather than, sufficiently fund your life. And if you can find both, that's amazing. But making a decision based on happiness is always the way to go. And be tactful in how you go about it. Talk to the right people. Do your homework first. And put everything down on paper. Let it make sense.
So at one point you were a personal trainer, a group exercise instructor. Mm-hmm. You're like the perfect mentor to follow around. You were there in that place, then you moved into a corporate space, mm-hmm. and then you moved back kind of into fitness. You still teach some classes for like a big box gym, yep. In addition to your own space. So now you have your own fitness facility, which is, many fitness professionals' dream moving forward. And in addition to that, I think you do you do a network, or you do a rodent and fields distribution thing as well. So you have multiple streams of income. I mean, yep. Many. What can you speak to that in terms of its importance?
So I'll kind of give you a little leeway into why, because you're probably thinking, like, what does Rodan and Fields have to do with fitness and wellness? What Melissa does. And when I opened my studio, like I told you, I spent a lot of money. I spent my own money. So I didn't have investors. I didn't have capital. I had my own bank account, really. And so I had to be very careful about how much I was going to spend to open it, what kind of equipment I was going to have, how I would start and build little by little. And I also, um, I knew I needed to pay my mortgage and to pay the bills. And so there's always that risk that you're taking when you're starting a business is how am I going to make money at first? How am I going to pay any of the bills? All I wanted was to be able to pay for the studio's rent and to pay for my instructors. That was the most important thing to me at first. So I knew I needed a way to still make money. And that right away, coming off corporate, was I need to teach. And so I actually waited about 6 months before I opened the studio to settle myself into a teaching situation so that my body could get adjusted, so I could figure out all of the logistics that were going to go into opening the studio and to put my finances in place. I needed to know that my mortgage would be paid and all of that shenanigans. And so I'd say as soon as I opened the studio 6 months later, I was able to pay my bills. I had the money to open the studio, and I got it to pay for itself after about 4 to 5 months. I had it paying the bills, meaning I was not going negative anymore. And but what you realize there is like, great, I'm even. So I'm only living now off of this one income of me teaching. And I was teaching in the city 6 days a week, running here, running there, getting up early, getting home late, going into the city, coming back to New Jersey, going back into the city. And I was absolutely exhausted. Um, I, I said to myself at that time, like, something has to change. And because I know myself and I don't want to burn out, I need to find a way to generate an additional form of income without getting up and going to another job or getting another job somewhere. That wasn't in the cards. Sure, I can pick up a few clients, but in my head it was like, I'm still going to have to train them. If I teach more classes, I'm still going to have to teach those classes. I need to work to do that. So how am I going in these, however many hours I was teaching at the time, like 30 something classes a week, because I was teaching most of the classes at my studio because I didn't have the money to pay them yet. And so it was like my body was getting injured. It was taking a toll. Like, what am I going to do that's going to help me make money where I don't have to stop and lift a weight or do a burpee? And for me, it was going to be in network marketing. I had to do something in network marketing. I knew enough on the business end that I could start something small and build it little by little. And I knew it wasn't going to be an overnight success type thing. And I figured I'd seen enough success stories in the network marketing world that if they could do it, I could do it. If I could open the studio on myself with little to no assistance, I could do something like this. And I chose Rodan and Fields. I thought about other companies. I wanted something new. Like I was living and breathing fitness for so long, and I wanted to learn. And that was the biggest thing. Like, what can I do that has nothing to do with dumbbells and treadmills and bikes? What could I do? What could I do that could help me to learn something that was accredited, that I believed in the fitness model, and that would help me build an income along the way, little by little. And so I chose Rodan and Fields. If you don't know what Rodan and Fields is, it's if you might recognize the name Proactive, and the same two doctors, Katie Rodan and Kathy Fields, created Proactive. They created a high-end skincare line for adults years later after they were super successful with Proactive. And they were originally sold in high-end stores like Nordstrom and Lord & Taylor. They were partnered with Estee Lauder. And after a couple of years of doing really well in sales, they said, well, we need to do something different, because if we did so well with Proactive, the way, and I don't know if you remember, but you couldn't just go to a store and buy Proactive. You had to do it on the television and call the number, act fast and you'll get a free, I don't know. And so that's how they did infomercials with Proactive, and they still do. But they decided, let's go the network marketing route, because, I mean, brilliantly, why not have access to as many, employees? I mean, we're not really employees, we're contracted to talk about the products, to use the products, to believe in the products, and to sell the products. So I I knew I was getting into business with people who knew what they were doing. And they were doctors, and they're still practicing doctors, and that was kind of important to me. They still have an office with like a 5-year wait list. And so they were passionate about what they were doing. They weren't just putting their names on something to, as a cash bank. And what they built in 10 years now is over $1 billion brand once again. So they've built $2 billion brands. They actually sold Proactive last year, so they could focus solely on Rodan and Fields. So that's kind of the quick story of how I got into network marketing. And yeah, I'm sure you have more questions about it before because I could talk all day about it. But
right. Well, one question is if someone wanted to partner with they can just reach out to you about that.
Yeah, sure. Friend me on Facebook and I can add you to my group and we can schedule a time to talk for sure. I think most importantly, the goal of not only talking about that, but talking about like my journey in fitness is to really help people understand that you can do something that you've never done and you can add an additional stream of income to your plate, having known nothing about it. I mean, these are dermatologists. I didn't know anything about skin. And so you can kind of like start something new. So, it's something that I do very part-time but I've been doing it for 3.5 years. 2.5 years, 3 years in June. It's almost 3 years. I never talk dollars and cents or anything like that, but I can tell you that it pays for my mortgage. And that's huge for me because what started out as like, crap, I need money to pay the phone, to pay our cell phone bill and to go out to dinner once in a while, 3 years later, turned into something that is kind of like, it's just kind of awesome to me.
Well, I mean, like you, I really believe in that model. And, the main thrust of this group, the community that I'm building, is teaching people to have the confidence to create alternative sources of income, to connect them with people who maybe have something that resonates with what they're willing to do. I mean, one thing that's really, really clear is that, the people I'm trying to bring in here are people who really are go-getters, people who are entrepreneurial, because very few people are successful in network marketing. But let me also say that very few people are successful in any alternative stream of income that's not from their primary job. So if you're going to be that one person, as Les Brown will often say, oh my goodness, Les Brown will often say, if you have a 1% chance, be the one. And that's really what we're working with here. I'm reaching out to people who, most entrepreneurs are the one. I mean, in the year 1900, 95% of our population were self-employed. I mean, they did their own sustenance. And then 100 years later, the numbers are completely flipped. Less than 5% of our economy is created by people who work for themselves. So very few people are successful in this space, but it's because very few people are willing to do it. And I'm trying to build confidence in people just to do it, just to see how others are doing it. I mean, your story is tremendous. It really is inspiring to see all the things that you've done. I brought on so many people here. I mean, one of the stories I brought on 2 weeks ago was someone who literally, when they got their driver's license, drove to the local gym. And now she makes, 6-7 figures doing fitness business. I mean, that's an inspiring business. Yours is the same way. I mean, that studio that you have probably is just scratching the surface on the plan that you have for it, and we're going to continue to watch it grow. And your story is very inspiring. Do you have do you use email marketing or a blog?
I don't blog, and I know that's I call myself a tech dinosaur. That was like you and I trying to figure this thing out, like how to join this. That's me. I use Constant Contact. I have newsletters and things like that. Having 3 different lives, I call it, as an instructor, as a studio owner, and my Rodan and Fields business. I have different groups for those people. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I thought you just took pictures of your food every weekend, because that's generally like, hey, we're eating dinner here or whatever. Like, I don't do too much on my personal page, and I think I have a crowded life, so I try to keep that separate. So those of you who are on my business pages know exactly what's going on all the time. But yeah, so for me, what I find effective is more like newsletters, what's going on and how to, how to get involved, that kind of thing. I do some live videos too on those pages. I I guess I'm used to being in front of people. It's always hard to hit that live button though, when like you don't know who's going to join you. You don't know the random person. It's like, oh, hello, I've never spoke to you before. But it's I find that it's super empowering to be able to use network or social media to connect with so many different people.
Oof. Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's been really, really good. Like you and I talked about earlier, where I said, as a I mean, I guess God has just put an entrepreneurial spirit in me. And when I was working as a personal trainer and couldn't connect with people, I just kind of almost gave up, put it on the back burner. And then Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, and now I can connect to people. I mean, we're on Facebook right now, and you're in Union City doing an interview live. Cool. So, let me ask you, what's on your desk right now? What's a book that you're reading? What kind of things is inspiring you, and what's your development tools at the moment that you want to share?
So I've got two books, and they're the kind of books that you kind of always refer back to, and they actually have not much to do with fitness, because I've had this kind of um, change since I started my network marketing business, and it's more about, and I think I told you this before. I had to I had to find a way to make money while I was asleep, while I was teaching, while I was doing what I loved. I needed to find a way to make money because I had no extra hours to go somewhere else to make money or wait tables or do, whatever. There was not
Right.
any of that. So, and one of my biggest inspirations, there's a book by Jordan Adler. You probably read it. It's called Beach Money. And beach money isn't about like, how do I live at the beach? It's about how do I make money while sitting on the beach? And I think that's everyone's dream, but I think in 2018 we are given so many tools and companies and access to be able to do that, and it's all about finding the people who are going to take advantage of it, because it's not the days of I hate to use this term, and I'm sure you hate it too, but it's not the 1985 pyramid scheme. You know, um, that's not what network marketing is. These are very legitimate businesses that, if it's something that anyone is ever interested in just learn about it, learn and figure out what works for you. Because I got to tell you, I'm approaching 40, and there are all these like young fangs in the clubs teaching classes, and I know how they feel. They're 25 and they are perky and ready to go and sweating along, and and it's like I think to myself like, yeah, okay, I was that, but like I can't do that anymore. I can't jump around. There are certain classes I can't even teach because I'll get an injury, and so I had to think about like, what can I still teach plenty of classes and I love it, but what can I do to make money while I'm sleeping? So Beach Money, Jordan Adler, is a great read. And then there's also a really good book, and it's called Get Over Your Damn Self. And Get Over Your Damn Self is kind of like a Bible for network marketers. It's by a woman named Romy Neustadt. She happens to be one of the first Rodan and Fields consultants. She never once mentions that she's a Rodan and Fields consultant in the book, but Romy is really inspiring. She's a big leader in network marketing, and so she wrote this book, Get Over Your Damn Self. And every chapter is written so like just bluntly. It's a super easy read, and it's one of those things where you'll constantly go back to check, like, oh, remember in that chapter when she talked about that? It's, kind of one of those check yourself books. So, two favorites.
Get over your damn self. I'm writing
Right.
that down right now. So, I mean, you and I talked before this about a whole bunch of things, but I mean, do you have any, I don't have any more other questions, but you probably have some final notes, some information you want to share?
Yeah, I'd say especially if you're a fitness person, I know you're going to share this on that special group that you've created. If you are a fitness person and um, you know, whether you're new, whether you've been doing this for 20 years or more, um, it's always good to look to the future. And that's where the turn happened for me, is when I stopped and I had that conversation with my old boss, and he just said, you know, you go one way or you go the other. And to me, going the other way, like the future of where I was just like, where am I going to go from here? You know, do I want somebody to tell me what to do for the next 30 years and, you know, and be miserable every day? Or do I want to create a life that I can dictate and decide where I want to be when I want to be there? And it's not going to be easy. Like, I'll tell you right now, owning a studio, 7 day a week work week. But I
Totally.
can tell you that opening the doors at 6 a.m., there's no better feeling than walking in somewhere and that's yours, that you created, and looking at a company saying, I built this, like I did that, you know? And
Yep.
so I'd say take a look at you 5 years, 10 years. Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself, you know, teaching and training, and if that's you, great. Like, you know, I think that you have to do what you love, but take a long, hard look at what you're doing and where you would go from there if you couldn't do it anymore. What if that was taken away from you? You know, what if you suddenly somebody got ill and you had to stop and take care of them? You can't get paid unless we work, and that's the industry that we're in, unless we're in some kind of a corporate role. So you got to just stop and take a look down the road. You know, I have to say, I work in the city and I teach classes, and people always say, you know, why do you do that? Why, you know, you work so hard and you're teaching, and I do that because I love it. Like, I love, not only do I love helping people, but I like to stay on my toes. And I feel like fitness in New York City keeps me on my toes. It makes me a better teacher, honestly. Like, I could take that
Totally.
and go anywhere. And there's constant, like, certifications and programming and new things to learn. And I feel like working in an organization that keeps up on that and, like, is always teaching you, like, it's really, it's inspiring, and you can learn and stay on your toes and still, you know. And so that's honestly why I continue to do that. But you know, you have to take a really close look at what does your life look like in another 10 years? Like, are you someone that wants to be able to travel to different places? Do you have a bucket list that you probably won't check things off of? Like, I looked at my family first and foremost and said, you know, my mother and father, I love them dearly, but they both worked themselves to the bone until they were 65 years old, and then retired. And then, you know, and now it's like, they don't want to travel the world because they're content, and they're, you know, more tired, and they never had that opportunity. And I don't want that to be me. You know, I want to be able to help people, to give back, to volunteer, to just be able to leave my place here knowing that I made an impact, and that I was able to do all the things that I want to do. You know, even starting a family, like, that's just been so out of the question for me for so many years, because how, you know, how am I going to make that work? And I always wanted at least the option, if it's there, you know. And so getting additional sources of income, specifically through a network marketing route, is such the way to go. And listen, I was one of those people like, no, I'm not going to do that. I can't, I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to be that girl, you know. But I got to tell you, you do it your way, and you, little by little, you build, and it becomes something big. As long as you keep at it, just like at the studio, you can't quit.
You know, I brought you on here because you're a mentor of mine, and at one point you were a senior director of a club that I worked at, and you have so many good accolades and so many great things. And it's just amazing and a blessing to hear you say that if someone wants to step out of, you know, the grind of the hourly pay model, which works very, very well, you make very, very good money. But if someone wants to break out of that grind, you're echoing the movement that has made such an impact on my life to do network marketing. But one thing I also want to point out is I have these two books right here. I mean, I didn't have to move. They were that close. One's by Robert Kiyosaki. It's called The Business of the 21st Century. The other one's by Grant Cardone, called The Millionaire Booklet. Neither of these guys are network marketers. Neither of them. Neither are you. You're a gym owner. Neither am I, really. But the thing that they say in this book is that is an avenue. Should be one of the first avenues that someone can take to start creating parallel symbiotic forms of income. And in any case, you know, what's powerful about it is that you can immediately tap into the network there and bring them into your fitness business. And you can tap into your fitness network and bring them into your networking business. And those are tremendous tools.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate everything that you have brought to this interview. It's been really good. As a matter of fact, I take the time, at least so far I've been able to do it for the interviews that I've done. I take the time to go through and pull out the nuggets, all right? Because I know that not as many people will ever watch the interviews. And, you know, some will, some won't. But pull out some of the great things and some of the tools and some of the information that you've shared and share it as a in text form. And that's been really powerful. As a matter of fact, I've had the blessing of going through some of these interviews and catching some things that I missed. As a matter of fact, I've been inspired to do a little project from one of the interviews I did the other day, and I didn't even hear the inspiration until the second time I went through it. So, you know, that's been really powerful. So I hope that you check that out. And I don't have any other thing else. More cowls.
Appreciate you asking me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's been so good. You know, and like now that you're part of the community, it's a small community, but it's building. My goal is to bring it to 1,000 people throughout the summer, and it's 1,000 of the right people, and that's the key. Is that, you know, I mean, I could reach out to hundreds of people and bring them in, but I want to bring in people that are like you, that are like-minded, that are open to learning about new things, opening to sharing what's working for them, and opening to contributing to the community.
Yeah,
So it's
I
been
hope
good.
so. I hope we can inspire some other people. It's not just about, you know, this company and that company. It's not that kind of thing. It's about just opening the minds of people and helping them understand what we have at our fingertips.
So if anyone wants to reach out to you, you're a part of the group. If they're not part of the group, I know this is on my personal page. You can just reach out to me and become part of the group, or you can just check out Fit Pro Lifestyle group on Facebook. That would be really cool. And Melissa, I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.
I hope you hashtag hustle the rest of the day just as much as you have so far.
I will be. All right, Billy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.